Hello. Welcome to the Knitting in the Hospital Wing podcast. As you can see, I am in a different location. So I spent the holidays up in Steamboat Springs where I grew up with my family, and I am currently in my mom's house in this lovely room, and I can just see outside the window there is so much snow. It snowed like probably 10 inches in the last couple of days, and it's just been amazing powder skiing. We've been having so much fun. Um, but I wanted to take a little bit of time and come on and talk about some of the things that I finished recently, and then also about some intentions that I have for the coming year. I have a little bit more free time than I will be having in the early part of this year, and so I'd like to just sort of lay a foundation for what my plans are for the year, in particular, what my crafting plans are. And then my plan also is to have a little bit more time to keep track of how I'm doing and keep track with the podcast. I've been really enjoying making it, and I think that it's really good for me to have a little bit of time to reflect on what's been going on in my life and how crafting helps me stay sane and, keep my anxiety at bay. So that is what is to come. But I will start off with some finished objects. So I am currently wearing a finished object. This is the Soldotna crop by Caitlin Hunter. I'll sort of take these off so you can see it in all its glory. And I knit this crop sweater out of some amazing yarn. The main background, so this sort of light blue and the black, is knit out of a Knit Picks, I think it's the gloss, so it's the merino and silk, and then this colorway here, and then the sort of lighter cream colorways that you see sprinkled throughout is a Homespun house in two of her Christmas colorways. One of them, the darker color that you see up here, is called Home for the Holidays, and then the cream color that you see is called Trimming the Tree. And I'll just get a little bit closer. So you can kind of see down here that the cream color has these it's mostly cream, but then it has these beautiful speckles of like blue and green and different colors like that. It was really, really fun to knit. I think I really wanted to knit this sweater so that I could wear it during the holidays because I felt like it was a holiday sweater. And I literally knit it. I knit it so fast. I knit it in, I think, like 4 or 5 days. So it was from start to finish really quick. And I've talked about this in some of my other podcasts, but the Soldotna crop is such an amazing knit. I think it's a really, really good sweater to knit if you've never knit any color work before, because all of the different motifs allow you to learn how to do color work really quickly and easily because you don't have any long floats. But because each motif is slightly different, it also just makes for a really addictive knit. I made a couple modifications, so I did knit it a little bit longer. I think I added maybe even double the repeats that Caitlin Hunter has in the original pattern. And then I also just added a couple of repeats onto the sleeve to make it so it's not just a cap sleeve, but kind of comes down a little bit more. I really like both of those modifications. For me, being a really tall woman, I think that it's helpful to have a little bit more length. And I kind of like the sleeves. I feel like they're a little bit more playful and also bring together the body a little bit more when you have just a little bit of the little flea bites and then this motif in the sleeve as well. I just think it looks a little bit more similar to what the body looks like. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed knitting this sweater. I love that it is a Christmas sweater. I definitely think that it's, mostly Christmas colors, but because it's still sort of blues and pinks and things like that, I think that it's also a sweater that I can wear most of the year. So I will keep rocking this even though it's sort of my Christmas sweater. Yeah, so other things, finished objects. I finally finished my Hogwarts library Montana Mountain Cowl, and I have to say I absolutely love this. So this was knit in Oof. This was knit in Sun Valley Fibers, which is this background of green. So it's sort of a light sage green color that has some specks of brighter green. And then I also knit it with Spincycle dyed in the wool in their Rusted Rainbow colorway. I really enjoyed knitting this cowl. I think it's a really great thing for the holidays, or if you're knitting at sort of a like knit night where you don't want to have to concentrate too much, but there's a little bit of something happening. I will say, I'm trying to see if I can find my seam for the Kitchener stitch. I will say that that was quite a challenge for me. So when I did the Kitchener stitch, it was just really hard for me to get the right number of, here, I think this is it. It was really a challenge for me to get the right number of stitches on the needle that I picked up from the selvage edge. So here it is. This is the seam. You can see it's a little bit tighter than the other seams. But honestly, I mean, it just took me a while to even find that seam, and when it's in the cowl, you absolutely can't see it at all. I really, really like the twist in this. I think that it adds something really beautiful and unique, and it's really warm because it has that double layer, and because it has that double layer, you just like really don't have to weave in ends. So all of that is a bonus. This is what it looks like on. I think it's really beautiful. It definitely is kind of like a scarf where you're just kind of knitting the same thing for a long time, and that can get a little bit boring. But with the color changing yarn of the Spincycle, each color change was really exciting for me, and that really kept me going because I was just really intrigued to see, you know, what colors would come next, and I just think it's really beautiful. So I really enjoyed knitting on that, and I have been wearing it a lot. It goes with almost everything that I own because most of the things I own are sort of, apart from this, which is hilarious, but I wear a lot of sort of earthy jewel tones, and so this just goes with everything. I really love it. It's really warm and really comfy. The other finished object that I had was already gifted to my best friend Miriam. I made her the Ripple Crop Top by Jessie May Designs, and I knit it out of L'Aimee May skinny single merino singles in the rust colorway. I thought that that was a really great sweater. The construction was really, really straightforward. I think that if it's your first sweater, it is a great one to choose because Jessie May put a ton of tutorials up to help you with some of the increases and decreases and the 3 needle bind off and things that and other skills that you need to know to make this sweater. I will say, and because it's just so simple with the ribbing all over and it goes with every body type, Jessie May put a really, really huge range in her sweater pattern so that people with many, many different body types look really great in it and don't have to make any of their own modifications. They know how to make it themselves, and I think that that is something that a lot of designers have started gravitating towards expanding their sizes, but she was kind of one of the leaders, and I think that's really amazing. I will say that it ended up being definitely a product knit and not a process knit. I loved how it looks. I have some pictures on my Ravelry page of what Miriam looked like in it. She absolutely loved it. She was like, I'm going to live in this, which obviously makes you feel really good because you put all of this time into something. But I will say that because it's all over rib, and because it's so simple, it ended up being kind of a boring thing to knit, apart from the fact that the yarn was so beautiful. So as I was knitting it, by the end, I was just like, I am gonna fucking lose my mind. It was like, I can't deal with it. But that being said, I'm also gonna knit myself one. So, couldn't have been that bad. Alrighty, so I definitely could not get anything to match up in terms of the voice and the video, so I just wanted to come on here and quickly talk about it so you can see that I'm kind of showing off the amazing Ripple Crop Top by Jessie May Designs that I made for my lovely best friend Miriam. I decided to name this the Ron Weasley sweater because it is obviously the orange color of his hair, but also because it was something that I was making for my best friend and someone who has really helped me through a lot of difficult times. So I did make a couple of modifications for this sweater. I made it about an inch or two longer, which I found was really helpful just because even if you're shorter, if you have a larger chest, then it covers a little bit more. It ended up falling beautifully on Miriam, which you can see in my Ravelry page. Um, I really love so much about the sweater. The fact that it is a high-low hem, the fact that it's knit at such a loose gauge and has the ribbing makes it so that when you block it, it just becomes this beautiful flowy sweater. It was something that I really, really enjoyed knitting with. The Aimee yarn was absolutely gorgeous. Everything about it was just so beautiful. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed the sweater. It was really amazing to see Miriam open it on Christmas morning and just the joy that it brought to her. So, my first work in progress, and to be clear, a lot of the things that I've been knitting, I frantically finished by the 25th. So, I don't have a lot to share with works in progress because everything was just finished. But one of them is the Albion, I'm not sure. It's a sweater by Jared Flood. It is one of the Brooklyn Tweed patterns, and it is this all over textured pattern that just uses pearl stitches, sort of pearl bumps in different ways. And this is a sweater for Sean that I have been working on for a really long time. I think that is a really good representation of what the color of this sweater looks like. It's this really beautiful royal blue. So I had already finished the body of this a few months ago, but over the last couple of days, I finished one of the sleeves. So this sleeve is a pretty simple, you just have 2x2 rib, and then it's essentially knitting a sock. But it is a set-in sleeve, so you do have this sort of flap that will go over Sean's arm. I'll sort of show what it looks like. Sean is really tall. He is over 6 feet tall, and so he has really long arms. So I did knit this quite long so that it would fit him really well. And with that, I have also started knitting on the second sleeve. So this is just on my little chiagus. And I'm just plugging away on the ribbing, and then hopefully we'll start to do the rest of the sleeve today. This is something that I really, really want to bust out because I have promised Sean that I will not start anything for myself until this is completely finished. Mostly that is because I've been working on this for a really long time, and Sean is so knitworthy. Everything I make him, he wears constantly. I'm just looking around the room, and there are a couple different hats that I've been working on, and he wears them all the time. He very clearly loves them. So he is very, very knitworthy. So I really want to finish this so that he has a sweater to wear. So this I'm hoping will be finished in less than a week. I want to finish it in the next few days so that I can cast on my own sweaters that I'm really excited about. I have 2 more finished objects, but I just see one right over there, so I'm gonna go grab it and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. But this is a sock that I'm also working on for Sean. This is MustStash Yarns in the Anakin colorway. And it is a really awesome self-striping yarn that goes between sort of grays, white with this light blue, and then gray and dark gray with this red. And I have so many things I want to say about this sock, but I just want to say that I have so many things I want to say, but they pertain to the new Star Wars film that just came out. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, this is the Anakin sock by MustStash Yarns. I am knitting it for Sean. I did 72 stitches. It's just a vanilla sock, 2x2 rib, and then I did a heel flap and gusset to do the heel turn. I am just knitting away. I knit most of this, so from where this progress marker is to this, I knit that during the movie. When I went and saw the latest Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. On here, I do have a Simply Serving charm, which I think is hilarious. It's kind of hard for you to see, but in that cup is the Grim. which is an awesome Harry Potter reference to when he's reading tea leaves. I will talk more about my feelings about this sock and what it represents after, when I'm finished with both of them. Because then I feel like at that point, Star Wars will not be super new anymore, and I will feel comfortable talking about it, but I will put a spoiler alert. What I will say about Anakin is that this represents, so Anakin is Luke and Leia's father. He later sort of changes his name and his identity to Darth Vader. This light yellow, or lighter white color with the blue stripe is when he is in the good side, and he is surrounded by light, and he's on the good side of the Force, and at that time his lightsaber is blue, but when he goes over to the dark side of the Force with the dark grays and the almost black gray, his lightsaber turns red, and so that was him sort of leaving the good side of the Force to pursue the dark. But that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to give anything away, but I have a lot more to talk about, so that will be coming. The other thing that I have been working on is my amazing Molly Weasley's scrap blanket. So this is the Northeasterly blanket by Skenanigans, I think it's called. And I have put a lot of work into this. So I kind of went over most of these colorways. Most of what I've been putting into here is the Hue Loco Advent Calendar that I got. But I did want to go through, as some Harry Potter talk, the meaning behind all of this yarn. So I'm going to keep this out and go through that. I'm only going to go through just over half of them, because everywhere from here to here I went over in one of my Vlogmas episodes, and I don't want to repeat myself because I'm the only one who watches this. So those are all of my works in progress. I do want to talk a little bit about stashquisition, so mostly about some gifts that I got over the Christmas holiday, so I will be right back to talk about that momentarily. All right, so for the Christmas holiday, I was spoiled quite a bit by my mom and some of Sean's family, and by Sean himself as well. So I just wanted to kind of go over what I got, and I'm really excited about it. I do want to say that this will probably be the last sort of stashquisitions that I'll have in a really long time, because I am putting myself on a yarn buying freeze. And the only reason why I'm deciding to do that, I don't have a huge stash, but I have so much beautiful yarn already and a lot of different sweater quantities. And what I really want to do, what I want to focus on, is making that yarn into beautiful sweaters, and then taking a step back and thinking about what kind of sweaters I really want that I don't have after I finish making those sweaters, and kind of going from there and letting the yarn really speak to me and tell me what it wants to be. So yeah, that's my plan for right now, is, to really hunker down and think about what I already have and make it into something beautiful, because it's just waiting. It's just waiting there to be something amazing. So yeah, but I did get some amazing yarn for the holidays, and also some incredible other sort of fiber related things as well. So the first thing is that Santa got me a couple different things. So he got me some Progress Keepers from Simply Serving. So this one is a little butter beer, and it has a little butter melting on the top, and I think it's amazing. And then from Simply Serving, I also got this little mandrake root. So cute. He looks so sad. And a chocolate frog, Skelegro, and this is a Hogwarts book that has Harry's glasses and scar stamped into it, and then wrapped around the book is a cute little Gryffindor scarf. I decided to go Gryffindor with this one, not because I'm a Gryffindor, I am a Ravenclaw, but because Harry was a Gryffindor, and so I want this to be sort of a little tribute to him. And also Hedwig flying with a little letter. They're all so cute, so well made. I have two other on here, Simply Serving. So this is my little adorable Sorting Hat sheep with the Ravenclaw, and then I also have a little letter as well. I love her products. Everything is so cute and so small and really light, so it doesn't bother me to have it on there. I don't know how she makes them so light, but she's incredible. So I was really, really excited about that. That was a great gift to get. I also, from Santa, got some Knitted Wit minis to go into my Molly Weasley scrap blanket. So this is the second year book, and this is the 6th year book, and I will just show you these really quickly, and then I'll probably describe what they mean when I actually put them into the blanket, because that's just been working out much better. So this beautiful skein is called Phoenix Tears. This is Dobby's pillowcase. I love Dobby. He's probably my favorite character. I mean, that's not true, but I love him. This is called the Basilisk. Riddle's Diary. Forbidden Forest. Polyjuice Potion. And Magical Me. So these are all from the second book, which is the Chamber of Secrets. And then she also got me the 6th book, which is my own personal favorite of the Harry Potter series. So this is A Poffle of Puffs, Slug Club, Spectre Specs, Potion in the Cave, Felix Felicis, Runiel Waslib, and Lightning Struck Tower. So I'm really excited to put those into my Molly Weasley scrap blanket. I think that it will probably be getting worked on quite a bit, just because I'm not allowed to cast on anything new. And so I think that as I finish up Sean's sweater, I will be probably finishing up some other whips that I have as well. So I have some socks at home, and then also my Molly Weasley scrap blanket. But other than that, I don't really have any other works in progress. So yeah, I imagine that those will get knitted in pretty quickly to the Northeasterly blanket. Some other things I got was 3 skeins of this beautiful yarn by Brooklyn Tweed. It is their Loft, which is American Targhee and Columbia wool. And this stuff is amazing because it is sourced in Johnson County, Wyoming, spun in Harrisville, New Hampshire, and dyed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I really, really appreciate that they do that. Because it's entirely from Colorado. From the United States. It's also all woolen spun, so it's very, very light, but will be very, very warm. And so I will talk a little bit later about my future plans, about what I'm planning on making this into. This will be probably the only acquisitions I have throughout the year. I'm going to slowly buy up enough to make a sweater that I'm really excited about. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. I think it's so beautiful. It accidentally got cut a couple times, so we'll see what ends up happening with that in terms of how it looks when I wind it up, but we'll see. So I really love it. And this was a gift from Sean's brother and sister-in-law and our niece Scotia. So that was really incredible. The other gift that I got, so I already put some of the needles that I've been hoarding in here, but my mom got me a Chiagu set. So this is their smaller set. So it's from US 2 to US 8. I have some duplicates because I've been really enjoying my Chiagus, and so I've sort of started collecting them myself. But I have come to realize that I just prefer metal needles over wooden needles just because you knit faster with them. The stitches slide off much quicker and I enjoy that. So I'm really excited to be using this. I don't love this case, and so I think that that is something that I'm probably going to make this year, is a case to go into this, because this is not great. It's just not great. Other things, Sean got me the pattern by Fable Knitwear, which is the Diagon Alley jumper. So it's this just really beautiful, simple stockinette, cropped but tightly fitting DK weight sweater that has a really sort of beautiful collar, puffed sleeves. It's just really, really beautiful. I love everything that she has made, and I think that I need like a year of her, because everything she makes is beautiful. Like, it's insane. So, and then to go with it, he got me some yarn. He said that he was really trying not to get overwhelmed by the color of this sweater, but that he just loved it. And so he got me this beautiful Woolberry Fiber Co. And this is all dyed in Colorado. And it's the Caramel Mocha colorway. And it is just this absolutely beautiful golden yellow colorway. Shut up. It's so pretty. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's been really hard not to just cast this on immediately. But I'm going to finish Sean's sweater first because he deserves it. And I'm also having fun making something for him. I mean, he's so knitworthy. So I'm really excited. So those are all of the things that I have acquired this holiday season, which is crazy. So I thought now that instead of reading a little excerpt from a Harry Potter novel, that I would instead talk about the different colorways that are in my Molly Weasley blanket and what they mean in the book series. So without any further ado, let's get started. So we ended up here. I think this one was called the Vanishing Cabinet, so I will move on. All right, so this color, this is actually a cream color that I think is an undyed skein. This was called the Invisibility Cloak. I think that this is quite funny because it is almost as if the dye that was supposed to be put on the yarn is invisible and you can't see it. So it's just the naked, it just looks like there's nothing on it. When I opened this, I do have to admit that I was a little bit like, because I think that with this, there could have been a really beautiful thing where she dyes the sort of like red, burgundy, blue colors that you see in the movie as being sort of the underside of the invisibility cloak. But at the same point, I also think this is hilarious that it's a naked skein of yarn, so it looks as if it hasn't been dyed because it hasn't. And so the Invisibility Cloak is one of the 3 Deathly Hallows. The Deathly Hallows are the Cloak of Invisibility, the Elder Wand, and the Resurrection Stone. This is one that Harry has been passed down from his father. At the time his father and mother died, it was actually in the possession of Albus Dumbledore because he wanted to examine it, because he realized that it probably was the Cloak of Invisibility that was part of the Deathly Hallows and not just your average invisibility cloak. It is used by Harry often to both, explore the school late at night and get into some trouble, but also to sort of help fight the Death Eaters, and is a really sacred object to him. In the end of the books, he does have the Cloak of Invisibility, the Elder Wand, and the Resurrection Stone all in his possession, and that makes him the Master of Death. And I believe that that is why he survives the killing curse and can't be killed by Voldemort. There's more nuance to it than that, but that's definitely part of it. And I should also say that I am doing all of this by memory, and so if I get something wrong, then it is not as if I put any sort of planning into this before. The next colorway was called the Golden Snitch, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a little bit of stellina in this colorway, so it does glow and shimmer against the light a little bit. The Golden Snitch is one of the balls that are part of Quidditch. So there's the Golden Snitch, the Quaffles, and the Bludgers. The Quaffle and then the two Bludgers. The Golden Snitch is something that the Seeker has to catch in order to end the game. It also allows the team to have like 150 points. The importance of the Golden Snitch, however, really comes in the last book. So after Dumbledore dies, he bequeaths Ron, Hermione, and Harry different objects. One of the objects that he gives Harry is the Golden Snitch that he caught during his first Quidditch game, and it was supposed to be for like remembering the importance of perseverance or something like that. What Rufus Scrimgeour thinks when he gives him the snitch is that as soon as Harry touches it, and Hermione also thinks this, and so does Harry, but Harry remembers a detail, is that something will happen. And so when he takes it, nothing happens. And then, after Scrimgeour leaves, Hermione's like, I thought that it was going to open. And he was like, well, what he didn't realize is that I caught this with my mouth. So the flesh memory is going to be in my mouth. When he breathes on it and touches it with his mouth, it says, I open at the close. And what Harry realizes is that it will open when Harry is ready to embrace death. And that what is inside it is the resurrection stone. And so that allows Harry to be the master of death, as I said, with the invisibility cloak, but also allows him to have the people that he loves with him in the forest when he goes to die, which is a very beautiful scene and one that I won't go into now, but I'm sure I'll touch at some point in the next however many years I do this. The next one was called, I believe, Bellatrix Lestrange, and it's this beautiful dark gray purple color. Bellatrix Lestrange is a Death Eater. She is one of Voldemort's most faithful followers, and she tried to find out what happened to him after he left or disappeared. Unfortunately, how she decided to do that was to torture Alice and Frank Longbottom into insanity with the Cruciatus curse. She ends up being murdered by Molly Weasley. Speaking of the Weasleys, this one was called the Weasleys. So this is this beautiful peachy orange color. The Weasleys are a family that Harry meets very early on in the first book. They help him get onto platform 9 3/4 and later become his family within the wizarding world. They are a beautiful family that really embrace all different cultures, people from all different backgrounds, and really teach Harry love in a way that he has never experienced before. One of my favorite things that they do for Harry is when he turns 17, they throw him a party, because 17 is the age at which wizards become adults, and it is customary for wizards to get a watch on that birthday, and they give him an old family heirloom that was a gift that was given, I believe, to Molly's brother who died in the First Wizarding War. And it's got some bumps and bruises, it's kind of scratched up, and you can tell that Molly, when she gives it to him, is a little bit, like, I wish we could have gotten you a new one. And Harry absolutely loves it and is wearing it even in the 19 years later, where, it sort of comes to follow him. So the Weasleys are a wonderful family. They lost many of their own during the First and the Second Wizarding War, and are great allies. The next colorway is this beautiful blue colorway, and this is the Ravenclaw colorway. So Ravenclaw's obviously the best house. Ravenclaw's my house, so it's obviously the best one. But the Ravenclaw house really focuses on learning and wit, but also on creativity and strangeness and embracing your unique attributes and what makes you different. and, you know, learning about things that are kind of strange and out there and things that other people aren't focusing on. And so it's a really inclusive and beautiful house that's also kind of weird and wacky, and I just love that about it. Some of the wizards that we know of who were in Ravenclaw were people like Luna Lovegood. Um, I believe that, oh, so Luna Lovegood, obviously Cho Chang. Um, oh my gosh, I am totally blanking on the name of the amazing man who becomes the Minister of Magic later. His Patronus is a mink, or sorry, a lynx. Kingsley Shacklebolt was also in it. Also, Quirrell was in it. So, you know, the good and the bad. The next one is a beautiful colorway. It's sort of a pinkish brown color with some golden specks, and this one was called butterbeer. So butterbeer is a beverage that they drink, and in the wizarding world, and it's beautiful. I mean, I loved when I opened this colorway. It was one of my favorites of all of them. I absolutely loved it. The next one is Puking Pastilles. So this is a sweet that was developed by the Weasley brothers, Fred and George, for Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes, and it is a sweet that you can eat when you want to get out of doing something because it will make you start vomiting like crazy. This was also the one of the many sweets that they gave to one of the people when they were trying to break into the Ministry of Magic in the 7th book. So, Puking Pastilles. This colorway, you can see here, and then it also continues at the bottom here. This is called the Inquisitorial Squad. So this was a group of students, pretty much all Slytherins, which I think this is great because it's really a greenish gray color with some pink specks. So it was largely a group of Slytherins that were helping Dolores Umbridge terrorize the school. That's pretty much all you need to know. So this is also one of my other favorites. This was called the Whomping Willow. It is this beautiful teal color with speckles of gray, lighter blue, and sort of a brownish burgundy red color. The Whomping Willow is important because this was planted at Hogwarts when Professor Lupin, Remus Lupin, was coming to Hogwarts. And it was put there to protect Remus and to protect the other students. So essentially what they did is they covered one of the exit that went to the Shrieking Shack, with the Whomping Willow. But there was one little knot on the Whomping Willow that if it was touched, the Whomping Willow would relax, and that would allow them to get Remus into the Shrieking Shack. Later on, it is used by the Marauders and also by the other students as they sort of make their way out of Hogwarts and towards the Shrieking Shack, particularly in the 3rd book. And it's crashed into in the 2nd book. This next one is called Hedwig. Protect Hedwig! So Hedwig is Harry's longest connection to the wizarding world. It's the first being that he really embraces and loves. It was a gift bought for him by Rubeus Hagrid, and she is really with him throughout everything. I mean, she's the only being that follows him to the Dursleys and is locked in a cage for that entire time, and she provides him love and support and caring. You know, she's not just a little pet that delivers packages. She does so much more than that for him. And, you know, during his birthdays, make sure she has a present because she flies, you know, to France to get a present from Hermione and things like that. She dies during the 7th book, during the Battle of the Seven Potters, and just gets hit with a killing curse in her cage and dies, which I actually think I've already talked about before because the way that it goes down in the movies is better than the way it went down in the books. That's like one of the only things I like better about the movies. This next color is called the Deathly Hallows. So I've already talked about this, but the Deathly Hallows are the Cloak of Invisibility, the Resurrection Stone, and the Elder Wand. Harry has all of them at the end of the 7th book, and that is why he becomes the Master of Death and survives. This next one was called Mischief Managed, and it is for the Marauders map, which is a map that shows Hogwarts grounds and all of the people within it. One thing that I really love about this map is how dangerous it is, but also how Harry uses it during the 7th book to just watch Ginny and see where she is and see that she's safe and see that she's a being that's walking around and living her life. And I think that's a really beautiful and really subtle way to show how much he loves her and cares for her. And again, in the movies, they did not do a good job at sort of building up the Harry-Ginny thing. That kind of comes out of nowhere, and I think it's a disservice to their relationship, but whatever. The next one is Slytherin. So Slytherin House, it has a rot history. A lot of the Death Eaters were Slytherin. However, they mostly focus on ambition and sort of being the best of the best. And in a way that makes it so that they're also willing to sacrifice other people for that. But there are good Slytherins. We see them quite often. One of the best in the world was Severus Snape. And, I know that he's a controversial character and he was definitely flawed, as we all are, and maybe was flawed more so than the average person. But he ultimately fought for the good and became a spy and did everything that he could to make sure that Voldemort did not succeed in coming back. So, Severus Snape, Slytherin House, so complicated. And the last one in this group of 24 is Luna Lovegood. So this also has some Stellina in it, so it's also a little bit shiny. Luna Lovegood is one of the best characters ever. She is a Ravenclaw, which is why this is a little bit blue. She's a little bit wacky, pretty strange, but all around just an incredible human being. Something that comes to mind is just the time that she spends in the Malfoy Manor dungeon with Ollivander and the comfort and warmth that she provides for him there and gets them through this horrible, horrible time. Also after Dobby dies, when she closes his eyes and she says, it's just as if he's sleeping. She's just a beautiful person. I also think about a time when her and Harry are together and she talks about her mother dying and sort of says, something along the lines of, or makes it clear that she's here if he needs to talk, if he wants to talk about what happened when people that he's loved has died. So she is whimsical and silly and provides really funny, uplifting moments when things are really not going well. So those are all of the colors that I have added to my Molly Weasley scrap blanket, which is the Northeasterly blanket, and I will just kind of go through it here. I am not putting any thought into this sweater. I want it to be totally willy-nilly and completely ridiculous because that's what a scrap blanket's all about. Ta-da! So I'm really enjoying it. It's really warm to knit on right now, so I've been having a lot of fun with that. So the last thing that I want to do is I just want to go over my knitting plans for the coming year. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to do today is just talk about the different things that I'm excited to knit on in 2020. For me this year, I really want to focus on doing projects that are new and slightly different for me and will add something new into my wardrobe that I don't already have, or a technique in the knitting that I haven't tried before, which is not in every single one, but I tried to sort of focus on that. And then also to really knit through my stash. So throughout the last year, I got into knitting and I got really excited about knitting, and I ended up hoarding a lot of yarn throughout the year. And I really want to see all of that beautiful yarn be made into garments that I'm really excited about. So I thought that I would just go through my queue and share the things that I'm really excited to knit on in the upcoming year. So the first thing is the Diagon Alley Jumper by Fable Knitwear. And this is just a really beautiful, simple sweater that's cropped and sort of tightly fitting, but has these sleeves on it that have a little bit of a puffed shoulder, and I think that would be so beautiful. Like I already said, Sean bought me the beautiful pattern and yarn from Woolberry Fiber Co. to knit this. The next sweater that I want to knit is the Koivua sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and this is a really beautiful all over color work and textured knit by Caitlin Hunter. I already have the yarn to knit this as well. I'm planning on knitting this out of yarn that I picked up here at a small yarn store in Steamboat. And one of the yarns is a dark sort of grayish brown yak color that I'm going to use to knit the background color work. And I'm going to be mixing that with a mohair silk that's a sort of burnt orange brown golden brown color that I'm going to hold together with it, as well as a sort of creamed worsted weight background. So I'm really excited about that. The next thing is the Nightingale pullover by Nora Gone, and this is a really beautiful sort of Victorian cabled sweater that was in Pom Pom I think it was the fall pom-pom of 2008, and I have this really beautiful worsted weight yarn that I'm going to use to knit that out of, and it is by Neighborhood Fiber Co. It's their Waverly colorway that is sort of a dark fuchsia purple color, so I think it's going to be a really beautiful one. The next is the Botanical Yoke pullover by Pearl Soho. So this is a beautiful cabled sweater that sort of turns into a rib, and I am planning on knitting that out of a DK weight Brooklyn tweed yarn in I think it's the Treehouse colorway. It's sort of a dark teal color, and I think it will just be beautiful, and I think that yarn itself will really show off the cabling that is in the beginning of the sweater that then transforms into the ribbing. The next sweater that I really want to knit is the Arbusto sweater by Rosa Pomar, and this was in a Lane magazine. So it's this really beautiful reverse stockinette sweater that has little baubles on it all over, and I have the yarn that I'm going to use to make that is a Holst garn. I got two different brown colors, so one is a lighter brown, one's a sort of darker, richer brown. I'm going to hold those together to make a marled brown sweater. The next is this beautiful sweater, the Rowena Jumper by Fable Knitwear as well. And this I'm going to make out of a beautiful chartreuse green yarn that I have that is bits of yak. I think there's yak, merino, and silk in it. So it's a little bit slubby and a little bit weird looking, and I think it will look really beautiful in that all over ribbing. Realizing that there's a lot of all over ribbing in this, which I think will not make me super excited, but the garments will be beautiful when they're finished. The next that I'm really excited to knit is the Soiree sweater by Emily Foden. This was in her Knits About Winter book. It is a pretty simple sweater, but then has this beautiful cabled panels along the sides and the underarms. And I am planning on knitting that out of my loft in the sweatshirt colorway, and I'm going to hold that together with a gray mohair as well. I also want to knit myself the Ripple Crop Top by Jessie Mae Martinson. I am planning on knitting this beautiful sweater out of some La Bien-Aimée yarn that my mom got for me while she was in Paris, and it is the Grello colorway, so I'm really excited about that. I also want to knit the Lillet pullover by Thea Coleman, which is this really beautiful pullover that has a boat neck with some cabling and lace at the neck. I am planning on knitting that out of some black Knit Picks yarn that I have. You can see that I have a lot of yarn already, and so I really am excited to knit it up rather than buying more yarn. I also want to knit the Maritimo Tee by Caitlin Hunter, and I'm going to knit this out of this really beautiful bright royal blue color that is a Malabrio yarn, and then probably knit it with some Homespun House as well. The only other sweater style that I really want to try that I haven't tried already is I really want to steek something in 2020. So that could either be the Islander by Skein-Deer Knits, which I already bought the pattern to this sweater because I absolutely love it and I know that at some point I will knit it, or the Nelchina cardigan by Caitlin Hunter. I think both of those would be beautiful. So I'll probably decide sort of what I'm more drawn to once I get more of the patterns finished. And then I also want a really simple, beautiful, delicate sweater in my wardrobe, which this is something I don't have yarn for, so I might not be making in 2020, but maybe in the coming years. And that is the Balloon Sweater by Petite Knit. I really want to make this sweater with a sort of with a sort of dusty pink, rose pink, sort of rose quartz pink colorway. I really just love the sleeves on that, and I think that it would be really light but really, really warm. So those are all the sweaters that I'm excited to knit in the coming year. There are also many smaller projects and one shawl that I want to knit. So I already have several shawls and I really, really love them, but I think I want to focus more on garments this year and things that I can wear on a daily basis, and then accessorize with shawls. But I think I'm gonna, come back on the shawls a little bit. So the first one, a lot of these socks you will see are by Ambrose Smith, and I love all of them. So these are the Fanny Price socks. And I already have a ton of sock yarn that I am going to use to knit these socks out of. And I think for me, I really like all over pattern socks. I don't want it to be a crazy intricate pattern that's hard for me to remember, but I just think they're so beautiful. These are the Paddington Station socks, also by Ambrose Smith. And I don't know exactly which yarns I'm going to use for these, but this is the Eleanor socks, also by Ambrose Smith. I don't know if it's her sock patterns that are beautiful or her photography or a combination of those two things. These are the Damson Gin socks by Ambrose Smith. And I have knit one pair of socks by Ambrose Smith and I absolutely love them. They're one of my favorites and I wear them all the time, so I might even knit those again. These are the Colonel Brandon socks by Ambrose Smith. And the Humbug socks by Ambrose Smith. I really love these. It's hard to see the patterning on these, but they have just a crazy pattern going on. I don't even know how she did that, but I'm excited to find out. So I'm really excited about all of those. There are even more. The Edmonds socks by Ambrose Smith I also love. So you can see that I'm probably going to have a lot of more neutral socks, but that have that all over pattern work. I really like these Irving socks by Jacqueline Salem as well. I just think they're so beautiful and so delicate. And then the other couple of things that I'm really excited to make is I really want to make the Underwing mitts by Erica Huser, which I've already shown. I made those for my mom and I got some more yarn for those when I went and visited my sister. And then I also want to make the Free Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry. And I am going to be making this out of my yarns that I got over the holidays, so out of my Advent yarn. So I'm really excited about that, and I'll actually put in some footage after this of all of the yarns laid out in the gradient or the rainbow that I want to make them in. And then finally, the Wit Beyond Measure mitts by Diana Walla. These are these beautiful Ravenclaw mitts that are so detailed. I really love that they have the little R on the thumb, and I also got yarn to make these while I was visiting my sister. So I have some really big plans for 2020. the beginning of my year, really up until June, so the first 6 months, I have a lot of free time because of the way that school works out. So I'm really excited to bust through a lot of this stuff during those times. And then after that, I'm really going to be very busy, but I think, when I'm working nights and things like that, I'll have time. And then also during noon conferences, and during the evenings to sit and relax. I think during residency it's very, very busy, but when you go home you don't have like studying and things like that that you need to do. You just get to go home. So I'm really looking forward to 2020. I just have this feeling that it's going to be amazing. And I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to try my best to really focus on this vlog and on keeping track of my own wellness this year. I think that that's something that I really want to focus on and something that's going to be really important to keep me sane going forward. So it's fun for me to make these and think about what's going on in my life and reflect on the crafting that I'm doing and how it's making me feel and how it's calming me. And so I'm definitely going to keep doing that throughout the year. So I hope everyone had an amazing holiday and a happy new year. And I look forward to seeing what 2020 brings for all of us.
Come on, I'm just kidding.
You don't know, my mom would be like full.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lechadlik shel Hanukkah. Amen.
Woo!
That's it, folks.
Well, I'm going to take a couple of them, and y'all can be proactive and ask him if he's got a couple extra for you guys.
We already made sure.
I just got he just was the guy that answered me on Facebook. Dell said he already gave all his out, and that he thinks that he said he gets less tickets now as the snow.
This chosen latke.
That's fair.
Many latkes are like this latke, but this one is mine. Ha 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 ha. Look at this fucking latke.
I mean, it's a beautiful latke. Look at that fucking latke. Oh my god.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Latke. It's a gorgeous latke. Alright, where's the oil at, bro? Oh, fuck.
Let's get a close up.
Yeah, not shamed. Not shamed.
No shame here.
What of it? Ah.